Hello everyone, welcome back to HOI as we try and make sense of the imminent collapse of the German army. We're just going to look on whether or not we do any more doctrine efforts, which we will. Which I just realized we're no longer researching doctrines. I should probably fix that. Oh no, we are. Right here. Even though we don't have any mechanical things. We'll probably focus on shock and awe over airland battle. Yeah, that would probably be the wiser choice. But that aside, we are in an excellent spot to continue the prosecution. Oh, Japan's giving up. Well, I mean, if you're gonna give up, there's no point in me lazing about over here anymore. We're gonna press the go button and proceed to march into Korea. Where are you folks? You're here? We'll create another group here that will probably eventually be transferred to elsewhere, but for now we'll happily invade Japan. I mean, honestly, it's not like it matters. You abandoned the front line. Honestly, I'm very curious why they chose this decision. Are they whipping people? They're still not whipping people, which is concerning. They have lost nearly 3 million men attempting to assault my lines. So I am confident we can advance to the coast without losing too many men ourselves. The Japanese are in just a pitiable spot. With these many losses sustained, they are not in a good spot. The same thing with the Germans. The Germans are just a surprising entity all onto themselves. There is still every chance they can pull back from this, but having this much territory lost is just humiliating. They're even advancing into Austria and attacking Italy, who managed to survive, and making Germany the soft northern I don't know, the soft back of Germany? The soft back of Europe? Which is quite hilarious to think about in any respect. Because Italy always gets the sore leg for being terrible during the war, which in all honesty they were, much to, well, our benefit, because I don't think there'd be anyone out there supporting the cause of the Reich in this day and age. Come on, buddy. You need to continue advancing, or at least take Port Arthur, which I believe is called Dalian? Dylon. I'm gonna call it Port Arthur because I'm a bad man. However, securing these things are going to be very beneficial to us. It'll give us a very large amount of steel and tungsten, which we will need if we're going to continue the expansion of our army. As you see, we're beginning to run out. And we just secured that, which has given us a beautiful little surplus once more. Our next plan, however, is to secure the Korean border. And the reason for this being is very, very simple. And that is, well, once the Korean border is secured, we will have absolute, well, control over. And then Manchukuo just capitulated, leaving a lot of Japanese troops in a bad spot. basically, we're going to rip the Japanese once more by this little effort we're doing here. And cause what it will lead to another, hopefully, at least 250,000 deaths. And completely wipe out the Japanese army's ability to prosecute a war effort for a little while here. And this pocket is already looking to promise such things. The offensive actions, however, have begun to drastically weaken our soldiers, because you lose a lot more men on the offense relative to the defense. And with this, we're sealing off the last action we can make. So we're going to give these gentlemen a task now, and, well, to act upon it. Taking Korea will be the end of the Imperial Japanese Army in mainland Asia, because there's quite frankly nothing coming back from that. They could somehow miraculously achieve a breakthrough, not an breakthrough. But the likelihood of that is fairly slim. And I suppose we'll begin making terrible interwar fighters now, though we will very quickly see. I suppose my cause for irritation was a bit unfounded, but Germany did lose a not insignificant number of men during that very impressive offensive action by the Allies. But they are going to be having a very large issue going into the Soviet Union, and no matter what happens, I would say it's the Soviets' game to lose now. Not in the long term per se, but when the Allies, mostly specifically the United States of America, finally bring their force to bear. And I think I'll do this. It was actually very amusingly 24 men. When they finally bring their force to bear in Europe, it will be a bloodbath. Soviet men versus American industry. And actually, I really want to see that. Even though I do want to attack the Soviets for their land, but I suppose I will unify China first and knock out Japan as my primary priorities. But we're beginning to lose a significant number of men now that these offensives are taking place. Well, I suppose it's not so significant as it would appear, and we're just going to do a garrison order now to finish off the Japanese forces. This is going to be a simple cakewalk now. Especially in this pocket, the reason for that being is they don't have any ability to resupply themselves, as the only port, once Port Arthur is taken, is in Busan in South Korea. And when you're an army trying to make any sort of headway into not an industrial powerhouse, but a manpower powerhouse like China, you cannot supply yourself with that level of overextension. Which is thankfully what we've seen. And now we've trapped another 6 Japanese divisions who are going to fall in short order. And after all these, by the time we finish the march to Busan, the Japanese casualties are going to be well over 3 million, which is exactly where I wanted them to be, so I'm quite happy right now. And you need to make a choice, and I'm making it for you. And after you're done, I want you to finish these blokes off. Cool, and then the United Kingdom is very keen on having us on their side, which I can understand. We are a powerful force. I don't want a strategic bomber, but I do want to begin researching more course. Yeah. The rate at which I slur my speech makes me quite sad, I have to say. We probably won't upgrade our fighters, and by upgrade I mean create a significant change. Maybe I spoke too soon. I'm going to take a quick look at the ranges of the fighters, because we do need decent range, and having an operational range of over 1,000 is nice. We won't see anything better than that until we get jet fighters number 2. However, I wish there was a more, rather than 1K, it said like 1,462 kilometers. That would be a nice quality of life change. And if I can manage to snake my way through here, the Japanese will have no option but to fall back. And whether or not I snake my way from east or west is irrelevant, but what matters is gaining control of Busan. And what's going to happen is these 24 men are probably going to make up a garrison group for South Korea. Because the Japanese have a habit of attacking over here, and I just really don't want to deal with it. And we have managed to bring the casualty count to over 3 million, which is an unfortunate loss of life, but is quite useful for our aims. And the Japanese are just going to lose more and more men. And we are in dire need of resources now. The Japanese built up Korea significantly, and it looks like they might have done it a little bit. And let's see what resources we do get from Korea. A decent amount. Tolerable amount. But it is in resources we currently do not need. That invasion is in eastern China. I'm surprised the Japanese can get any sort of bomber effort over here, which actually is not, considering the fact that they are arriving in probably Korea. And yes, they have air support, and they've actually done some respectable damage against us. However, that is not a concern currently. We will begin upgrading we're beginning to research better artillery. And I should probably check it now when we will begin to see our rocket artillery 2s. And that will be in 43. So going into 44 we will see some significant advances, and hopefully by the time 1944 roll around, we will be in a nice spot. And let's just pretty up the borders here, which will be very nice. Now we need to have that little awkward talk and figure out a way to take control of the home islands from the Japanese. And that will not be easy, but what is interesting is the fall of Italy. I really don't think the Germans could come back from this. What's probably going to happen now is a war of attrition will occur between the Axis and Allies that the Axis will not be able to compete with. Germany still is whipping people, however, we're going to see that increase very significantly soon. Surprisingly enough, the French are on limited conscription, which is extremely surprising and very worrisome for the Germans. Even the British are only on extensive conscription, with Halifax in charge. I suppose I can understand why they didn't choose Churchill, maybe because the Germans really have had a pathetic showing of it. Oh well, it's none of my concern. What is my concern, though, is to get artillery up to 5,000 and begin the second upgrade. But we will begin to justify on the commies and deal with them soon. And with the capitulation of Italy, I believe the Axis have a very significant issue on their hands. They will not survive much longer. Well, by much longer, I predict 1943 will be the end of the war. With the Axis, the Allies still have to deal with the Soviet Union. Okay, speaking of the Soviet Union, I might have made an egregious mistake here. I am not prepared to go to the war with the Soviets, and Communist China might join them, so I'm actually going to sit on this war declaration that I've foolishly made, so to speak, and we'll begin preparing to go to the war with the bear. The war with the Soviet Union will be a long and brutal one that will see us march from Siberia all the way to the Urals before the Allies make it there, most likely. But our main concern right now is Japan, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. Japan, who has ever been on extensive conscription this entire time, and I'm beginning to wonder if they have any bonuses to their manpower here. And they do. So that is something to note. What I do not like is this. And I'm beginning to sound very hoarse now, so this is probably going to be my last recording of this evening. So what I'm going to do now is, instead of having this line here, I am instead going to change it to a fallback line. Because honestly, I believe this island's called Manju? Maybe? I do not care who holds this island. It's useless. The Japanese want to land there. Good for them. I'll murder their men. Though the Soviet Union is fielding a impressive army now as well, and even if the Allies somehow lose at this point, which I find very, very unlikely, the Axis will lose in quick order to the Soviets. Well, not quickly, it'll be a bloody war, but it will be fairly inevitable, I feel, that the Axis will lose. And actually this war goal seems to last forever because it is a liberation war goal. So that's good. That means that I can declare war on the Communist Chinese when I feel comfortable that I can deal with the Soviet bear themselves. And we're gonna get some decryption down the line, so I bet you are hoping for some Wunderwaffe right now, Hitler, because you're gonna need it. And actually, I'm going to double check that I did do this. I did. And on that note, we're going to take advantage of our friendly relations that we have with the Soviet Union currently. So we can probably take 16. I don't know how the system works. Okay, let's take it from the British. Even though that will be hell on my convoy system. That is why I'm building convoys. Thankfully, losing them does not accompany a national unity hit, which would just make me very, very, very sad. This will be very useful for getting the 1950s variant of the jet fighter, which will be the mainstay of our Air Force as soon as humanly possible. On that note, I'm going to begin you. You will be the man in charge of the Mongolian front. Less veteran soldiers, but veteran soldiers should not matter there. And why? Oh, the Allies are actually beginning to break through. This might be the Allies' war to lose. Breaking through here, while mostly insignificant, is quite surprising, I have to say. Our factory numbers are increasing very nicely, I'm happy to say. And now that we've taken this land, we have a plentiful region to increase our industrial base from. So we will continue focusing on civilian factories for now, is what I would like to say, but I will build 5 more military factories so we can boost out our numbers and finish out that line of fighters. We do want to take control of the air as soon as humanly possible, and we are unlikely to do it anytime soon, especially with such a inferiority in our Air Force as it is. And taking control of the air and then the sea will be massively important for us, especially with the Japanese defending in both places. We have no hope of making it onto the home islands. I'm still just baffled by what's going on in Europe. Germany is undergoing the Herculean task of pushing back the Allies in what remains of Italy. It is still a war they will very likely lose. And we are well on our way to the 1944 variant of the fighter, which is quite exciting, I have to say. Honestly, we also might as well be producing modern armor by the time we have any tanks that we can put on the field. We will be beginning to produce the other thing. Motorized divisions soon, I hope. But we shall see. So we have effectively created a stalemate in East Asia. The United States should be well on its way towards war with Germany, which it is. So, Pearl Harbor be damned. It looks like the situation here is dire. I do wish we could boost our national unity higher than it is right now, but 75 is a tolerable number. The Allied advance into Sinkiang is beginning to pick up pace. I am quite excited, however hesitant about it. I'm no longer worried about the fall of, well, the Allies there. So, no, honestly, the time is approaching quite swiftly where we may see ourselves at war with the Soviet Union. Not directly by our intention, but likely by our actions in the People's Republic. But we will be facing supply issues over here, and that is tragic. Hopefully it will not be too terribly significant, or I will be forced to cut back my forces here, which I do not want to do. That is actually quite valuable. That means that we should be able to begin conducting research into rocketry now. Yeah, as soon as that's done, I'm comfortable doing the research into rocketry. A year and a half ahead of time. And there's our second aircraft down the line, and with a 50% advantage, I am comfortable taking that extra cost. It's an additional 100 days, but that'll be a plane that is 2 years ahead of time. And with such an advantage over the Japanese planes, which are going to probably be still dating from 1940, 1936, I'm willing to say that we might be able to take control of the air for them. Especially if we beef up these planes, and to promote that, we're going to build air bases in South Korea that will act as a jumping off point for those actions. Speaking of the air war, how are our fighter forces doing? We are gaining very few planes each day. Ireland joined the Allies. That is interesting to hear. Normally they stay neutral, but that's still pretty tolerable. The British, however, have allowed my fears to come to light. So we're going to try the French now. Because we do not want to be dealing with that. And Siam as well, we will become trade partners with. We'll buy it at a slight loss, which I am not happy about, but you gotta do what you gotta do when you're trying to fight a global war. We are producing a fighter a day now, which is positive. In all honesty, we're probably going to move on to another line of fighter ones. other full line of fighter ones in order to continue this pace. And looking at our support equipment, we will probably buff up our divisions again if we have the research to do so. So considering that we're beginning to run over on time now, what I'm going to do is research engineering companies and maintenance companies. Maintenance companies are unspeakably valuable. They just decrease the number of men, and by men I mean supplies. And it looks like we are a bit over the top in terms of resources we put in here. So last thing I'm going to do before the end here is I'm going to not put it up to level 10, that is a bit too much, but at least put it up to level 4 in the entirety of the border regions here. And it is unnecessary down there, and here. So that will be our next goal to do with our industry, and our industry is increasing at a respectable pace. We now have 70 military factories and 59 civilian factories, which should be challenging the Japanese, and actually, on that note, we are surpassing the Japanese in both figures. The Germans we are still a long way off of competing from. And actually, the Spanish addition into the war might be a game changer, but it's too soon to call. Actually, yeah, the Spaniards might win the war for the Germans, which will mean Operation Barbarossa will begin, which will be interesting with such a massive list of defeats for the Axis. 2 million men lost in France. That is not good for Herr Hitler. But that'll be their problem next time. I hope you all enjoyed. I don't know what I was trying to say there. You know what to do in regards to feedback. But that all aside, I will see you all next time.